Hello and welcome to a special edition of the Bikes or Death podcast. My name is Patrick and I'm your host. This is the show that talks about bikepacking, adventuring, and the cool people who participate. And that is exactly what I have for you today. Not even 24 hours ago, I sat down via Skype with Sofiane, who you will know just came off of an impressive lead on the Tour Divide. He was beating Mike Hall's record, and he made the decision to scratch, which caused a lot of chitter chatter on the internet. And so, first of all, I think most of us who watched him were just beyond impressed and are true fans of his. And so I wanted to talk to him originally because he just was laying down some incredible times, just not stopping, not sleeping. I mean, not just like not sleeping, but the dude wasn't stopping. I don't know when he stopped to pee or go to the bathroom or anything. And so anyway, I wanted to talk to him for that reason, but there was also just like a lot of shit talking going on, or just a lot of opinions floating around on the internet while he was out there riding his bike. And I wanted to give him an opportunity to address that. And so if you stick around through the whole episode, towards the end of it, we kind of get into some of that. And I really appreciate him being willing to talk about it and address it. He's a super stand-up guy who, I mean, he's a composed dude who has a level head, and he had some really good things and really good perspectives. So I hope that's what most people walk away with, is just a different perspective, a different understanding. Wanted to give him an opportunity to tell his story. So that's what we did. So typically my episodes come out every Monday. I'm putting this one out there because there is so much talk going on right now. It's very topical. So I just want to get this information out there as soon as possible so that, listeners who are familiar with my show will note that the quality and even the style of the episode is a little bit different. But like I said, this was kind of a special case scenario, and I really wanted to get his story. And one other thing is I am this next week also releasing an episode with Alexandra Huchin, who is currently in the women's lead on the Tour Divide for the single speed category. And she might be top single speed overall right now. I know she's been going back and forth with one other guy. So I sat down with her right before the Tour Divide, and that one is coming out next week. So if you've been loving all of the Tour Divide coverage and you're looking for more content, I got more coming. So stay tuned. All right, and as always, if you want to support the show, there's three ways. You can find me on Patreon, where you can financially support the show. There's no advertisers, no sponsors. It's just me talking to you, and your support means everything. So if you are inclined, head over to Patreon. You can find me there at Bikes or Death. Also, on my website, bikesorddeath.com, you can find an affiliate link for Amazon. If you click on that and you bookmark it, every time you use it, I'll get a little kickback from Jeff Bezos. It doesn't cost you anything, but it goes in my pocket, and it's a great way to support the show. And lastly, please, if you could, go to iTunes and leave a 5-star review. That's the best, 5 stars. And I just checked today. I'm going to be honest, I check every day, and I think we're at 59 or 60. So we're crouching in on 100, which would be pretty sweet. All right, that's enough. Let's get to the show.
I feel all right. Really, I don't really feel bummed out about what happened. I'm in a good place right now. I'm enjoying just resting, recovering, spending quality time with Kirsten at the Brush Mountain Lodge. I I got real scared, to be honest. I was really not safe up that pass, and I do not regret my decision of going back. Because definitely things could have turned for the worse.
Yeah.
And I'm not really experienced when it comes to that kind of weather, the kind of conditions. And I think I did the smart thing. And I have several people who are way more experienced than I am with mountain rescue and stuff like that, who told me that definitely it was the right thing to do. So I don't have any regrets. I don't have any I think I just did what I was supposed to do. I'm safe.
Yeah.
I'm alive. I'm in beautiful Colorado.
What could be
I still
better,
have
man?
my legs. I still have my bike, and I'm probably just gonna keep riding. Just check out some places after that. And there is, a tour divide every year. I'm still fairly young at 37, so I can come back anytime, and I can, can give it a go. And it's not all bad. You know what happened? I don't. Part of the reason why I don't really feel bummed out is that I came here to win, but absolutely not aware that I would be able to break the record. I thought that this record was uh, almost unbeatable and definitely not beatable by me, especially since the Canadian part now on the Tour Divide is slightly longer but way slower with more single track and the famous Coco claim, or I should say the infamous Coco claims. So yeah, it's really not all bad.
No.
I have a lot of people, that are sending me messages to, see how I feel, and I'm like, yeah, dude, don't worry, I'm good. It's just a bike ride. I made it out alive, which is what matters, and I
Yeah.
will be back, whether it's next year's or whether it's a couple years from now, and I will give it another go. And now that I know that I can break the record, I know that I'm gonna obsess over it, and that this will be my goal.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let's jump back just a little bit, maybe for people who don't know you that well. Uh, you just came off of the Tour Divide, what, like 4.5 days ago, and you were in the
Yeah.
lead. And that's what you were just alluding to is why you threw in the towel, basically. But before I go any further, how do you pronounce your name?
Sofiane.
Sofiane.
Sofiane, yeah, exactly.
Was this your first Tour Divide?
It was not actually. It was my second Tour Divide. I raced it in 2016, the year that Mike Hall beat the record. I was there and I finished in third place in a time of 16 days, exactly 16 days, or 16 days and 25 minutes to be accurate.
And how was your race?
It was my first race at that time. I had a ton of experience as far as touring goes, but I had never raced.
Wow.
So I learned a lot in 2016. I made so many mistakes, and I could just finish it and get a good finish because of me being kind of tough and my body being willing to endure the the price that you have to pay to finish this kind of races. But as far as strategy, as far as experience, as far as all this kind of stuff, I was doing everything wrong. I showed up with definitely not enough gear, not the right bike. Had no idea what I was doing,
Right.
and still had a good ride. Still managed to get on the podium. Still managed to finish in 16 days. So that was good.
I mean, that's damned impressive for your first race, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people who've done this many times can't even achieve a 16-day finish. So, I mean, that in itself, I mean, the fact that you're kind of like downplaying a 16-day finish gives you perspective. I'm guessing like going into this Tour Divide, well, yeah, what were your goals going this?
I knew I would be faster for sure. I didn't know exactly how much faster I could be. I tried to replay the 2016 Tour Divide in my head several times, and looking at the mistakes I had made at the time and trying to see how much time I could shave off every day. And I knew I could easily go down to 15, but from there, from 15, I had no idea how much time actually I could shave off. Um, I was really doubtful about being able to shave a couple days off
Hmm.
the 15 days mark. But I was replaying it in my head. I remember, okay, because I had a ton of troubles on my first go. I came in with really stiff shoes, and they just destroyed my feet. So I had to get new shoes in Butte, but I got in Butte by night, so I had to pretty much spend uh, like 3 or 4 hours till the bike shop opened. Then so lost quite a bit of time, got new shoes, and I had trouble with my dyno hub. Couldn't charge my GPS anymore.
Oh man.
So I ended up several times just going into a diner or whatever, just to spend an hour there just to charge my GPS.
Right.
Um, I also had trouble with having trouble with my dyno hub. I had trouble with my headlamp, obviously, with my front light, sorry, and I was navigating at night with the headlamp, so which was not ideal, definitely. So, I was trying to when I replayed the 2016 race in my head, I was trying to see like what it would have been without all these troubles, and trying counting like, oh, maybe there was one time like from Flag Ranch to Togoti Pass, I stopped twice to resupply. Maybe I can stop once to resupplies, and I'm going to save half an hour or stuff like that. And yeah, doing this kind of calculation, I got down to definitely that 15 days was a reasonable goal. But beyond that, I just had no idea
Yeah.
how much time I would be able to shave off.
Did you plan on making up any difference through lack of sleep, faster pace, or how were you looking at making
So
up on that just wasted time?
I definitely came in with that strategy of going 2 nights in a row without sleep. This was the plan. It's not something I came up with as I was going because I felt great the second night, and this was definitely something that I wanted to do because I knew that there were a super strong roster, just a great lineup with a ton of really great racers, former winners of some of the
No
most
doubt.
prestigious bikepacking race. So I wanted to get ahead early. I wanted to be out there racing the front. That's what I felt comfortable doing, and that's what I wanted to do. And also, I knew that in 2016, um, I made several mistakes on the first day. My first mistake is I stayed at the YWCA in Banff
Hmm.
in a dorm room, and before the start, I just couldn't get any sleep. So
Mm,
basically, I stood up at the Grand Depart, and I was already sleep deprived.
yeah.
Then, first night, I kind of camped like I would say 10 to 20 miles before Bud's cabin, and I was so cold, and my feet were wet from the flathead section that we had in 2016, where we had to push our bikes on a road that was overrun by a creek. So my feet were completely soaked and super cold, and I camped out of Bud's cabin and just couldn't get any sleep. So basically, people were amazed that this year I went 2 nights without sleep.
Yeah, yeah, you
But
went
in
like two and a
2016,
half days, I think. It was like 2.58 days or something. I calculated it.
yeah, and actually in 2016, I went 3 nights without sleep. On the first 3 nights,
If
I
you
just
count the first
didn't
night
get any
before
sleep.
it started.
Yeah, 'cause I count. Yeah, the nights before the
Yeah.
race, didn't get any sleep. First night, before bus cabin, didn't get any sleep, and then uh, the third night, I felt like I was away from the pointy end, and I decided that I would go another night without sleep, which was kind of stupid,
Hmm.
but I did it anyway. And
What
actually, yeah,
is that one of your strengths is going without sleep? Is that something you have to work at, or are you just naturally able to stay awake?
I feel that it's something that I'm naturally able to do when I talk about it with people. Some people are like unable to go even one night without sleep.
Right.
One night without sleep for me is fine. I, I,
Right.
I really can do it without any trouble. And then I kind of learn how to train to go like 2 nights without sleep. Actually, what I did on the Italy Divide, I raced the Italy Divide end of April this year, and I did it like without any sleep. It took me about 4 days, and I just took like a 45-minute nap at some point,
Wow.
but I didn't get any real sleep. I was not even carrying the sleeping bag. I
What?
was I was I just had no sleep system. My goal was to see how far I could go without sleep, and it definitely takes you to really weird and scary places. But I feel comfortable doing it on off-road races because there's no car around.
Right.
So if it goes wrong, you're just gonna fall asleep and just crash in the ditch, and it's all right. Because when you fall asleep, you're not riding 20 miles per hour. You're
Right.
riding like 10 miles per hour. Then you fall asleep. You crash in the ditch. You're not gonna hurt yourself. But
What
on the trip, Sam, I had.
can you talk about? You said it gets weird and dangerous and scary. Like, what is it like to push yourself for 2 or 3 days without sleep? Like, what are you going through in your brain or body or whatever?
Well, it was actually okay on the Tour Divide, but on the Italy Divide, there was some really weird stuff that happened. Like the third night that I was going without sleep, I felt really sleepy at some point. I was on a bike path somewhere outside of Verona, and I felt like I was kind of falling asleep just riding on the straight bike path in the aero bars. And I told myself, well, you gotta find a way that you're not gonna fall asleep. And there were some lights on the horizon. I was like, okay, try and focus on these lights. Uh, and once you're gonna get there, because obviously it was dark. It was the third night. And once you're gonna get there, you're gonna have more light. You're gonna just wake up from being there. And I remember just telling myself, okay, focus on these lights, and I would keep riding, and at some points, the lights were behind me. It's like
Huh.
my brain had gone to sleep at some point like that. I was not aware of what was going
Wow.
on, but legs were still working.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was able to ride, but just any information that came into my brain just was going out instantly, like immediately.
Right.
And some stuff also was kind of weird that night. That part was out in the open, but there was also a back path in the forest, and I felt like I was on a loop actually, like kind of I was on the home trainer, and I was static, and the forest was like kind of a decor that was being like in these old movies, when they're in the cars
Yeah.
and car static,
Right. But
but
the scenery's like going past
the
him.
scenery is moving. It felt exactly like that. I felt
Wow.
like I was just pedaling and not moving, and the trees were moving, but not I.
Hmm.
And yeah, and my brain actually did something that was really weird. It's like my brain tried to convince me that it was just not worth it to keep going and not sleep because there was no point in winning the race.
Hmm.
And it's I don't really remember exactly how it happened, but um, yeah, I started thinking about this race, and I started thinking about how nobody cares about the race, so it doesn't make any sense to push myself this far to win it. And yeah, it was really kind of weird. It's like your
Is that
brain
weird just because it's like contrary to who you are, like determined to win and wanting to go push yourself? So it's like weird that your brain's telling you something different.
Yeah, it's like my brain actually, when I was in this forest and thinking that I was kind of static and the trees were moving, my brain, um, I was not thinking actually in terms of racing. I was thinking in terms of what I was doing. And I know it's gonna sound super weird, but that's the truth. That I was actually sweeping the trail. That was just like, and that it was like kind of a shitty job of
Yeah.
just being out to sweep the trail,
You're the trail
and that
janitor cleaning up for everybody else coming behind you or
that
something.
was just and that it was kind of stupid to go through this much to push myself so far just to sweep the trail, and that was better off just going to sleep. And
Uh-huh.
that was there's all sorts of weird stuff that happens to your brain when you don't sleep. I have the hallucinations sometimes, like when I go 2 days without sleep, the third day that I'm awake, I do have hallucinations. Even though it didn't happen this year on the Tour Divide, but it happened, definitely happened in Italy, and it happened on the 2016 Tour Divide. But this felt like some kind of you know next level hallucination where I was not really aware of what I was doing, not
Hmm.
really aware that I was cycling, and yeah,
How
that was
did you
pretty.
get out of that? I mean, did it finally just go away? It wore off, or did you sleep, or what?
It's no. As soon as I got out of that forest and the just the scenery changed,
Right.
I was able to just step out of that kind of weird state that I was in, and that's when I got to the bike path, and it was just when I was to the bike path, it was just sleepiness. It was just regular sleepiness, and just regular trying to fight it, and yeah, kind of losing bits of what was happening at that time.
Yeah. Well, as a fan of the race, watching the whole race uh, still is fascinating. But when you were pushing the front at the very beginning without sleeping, it was fucking awesome. Like as a fan, and so watching the dots, and I'm googling like, who is this guy, and it was, dude. I was staying up to like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I would like you never stop, and then I would go to bed and wake up, and then sure, I'm like, that motherfucker didn't sleep again. He's still going. He did that for like 3 days. I was like, fuck. And I'm
Yeah,
just thinking about like all the other shit I've been doing, like working or going. Like I'm like, this whole time he's just been riding his bike, no sleep, no nothing. I mean, it's impressive.
yeah. I'm curious to crunch the numbers at some point, but I know that I went like 62 hours without sleep
Right.
from Banff to Helena. That's Banff to Helena in one go, not even a single power nap. And I think the whole way I probably popped like two caffeine pills, like probably the second night at the beginning of the second night when I thought, wow, I still have a whole night to go, and this is gonna be tricky. I'm gonna need a little bit of caffeine, and because some people think that I'm just popping caffeine pills all the time to stay
Yeah.
awake. I try actually to not to do it as much,
Right.
because my goal was and still is in these races that if you start popping caffeine pills like it's nothing, then by the time you get to the second week, it's gonna have absolutely no effect at all.
Right. Right.
So my goal is to be like really, for me, it's supposed to be a last resort. Like if I get sleepy when it's only 11 p.m., I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a long night. I might just get some caffeine. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, I try to do it,
I think that's
not
smart.
that much.
Do you know Tom Hughes by chance?
No, I don't.
Okay, well he's another ultra endurance racer. He came on the show before, and he was telling me that he doesn't drink caffeine ever unless he's on a
Yeah,
race. So he like
yeah,
trained his body. Well, I mean, he just deprived his body of caffeine and uses it a tool, much like what you're doing.
yeah.
Sound
That's what I
sounds more
I
effective.
yeah, I stopped drinking caffeine like about 3 months ago. I just
Right,
quit caffeine so that if I'm out there and I need to go without sleep, the caffeine is going to have a greater impact on my body.
right.
And it's not, but I mean, there's several tools that you can use. There are several techniques that you can use. I mean, I've been racing these races for about 4 years now, so I've kind of find stuff that works. I know that I'm gonna get sleepy in the morning around 8, 9, or 10 a.m. When it starts to warm up.
Yep.
know that I'm going to get sleepy at this point, and I know that if I manage to fight it, it's not going to come back. The sleepiness that's really hard to fight, it's the one that sets in at the end of a really long day. Like when I was making my way to Pinedale on that really long straight line that is paved, that's when it's really hard to fight the sleepiness. Actually, um, I find that in off-road races, if you're going at it hard, climbing a pass, hiking your bike, uh, it's so hard that you're actually not gonna get sleepy. The hard part is gonna be like when you get to pavement and it's just flat and you get in the aero bars, and now is the time where it's gonna be so hard to fight the sleepiness.
Right.
And these things that you actually can do that sounds kind of silly, but sometimes just singing out loud, it's just a great way to wake you up when you feel like um, I did it when I was riding in the Tetons. I felt like because it's just paved, and it's not much happening. It's like for all the cars passing you, and it's definitely a place where you have to be super focused, super aware of what's going on because you want to stay, on the right side of the road as much as possible because there's a lot of traffic. So
Is
it's
that
really
weird for you being on the right side?
no, no, I'm from France, so that's the same side.
Oh, okay. My bad.
But no, no, it's just that sometimes when you get sleepy, you kind of, get sleepy and sloppy, and you're not
Oh,
as
yeah.
focused. So yeah, it's really important when you're on that road to stay focused. And I when I noticed that I was, just in the aero bars and getting really sleepy and kind of losing my focus, I just, I listen to music when I ride. Sorry, I listen to music when I ride, and I was just, trying to find a song that would wake me up, and I actually found some kind of corny French song, and I started just singing out loud,
Uh-huh.
and it worked perfectly. And then after that song, I was just awake, and I managed to keep going. And yeah,
Wow.
there's just some stuff that work from, I guess, for some people when you get really sleepy. Like sometimes just stop, check your phone, see what's going on. If you have reception, that's nice. You can send a couple of messages, and it's just what you need to do is just get out of just being on the bike, pedaling in the aero bars, straight line, really hard to do something else that fall asleep. But yeah, with the experience of these kind of situations, you find ways that you can fight it.
Right. How is your body feeling now? So you're about 4.5 days after scratching from the race. How is your body feeling?
I'm super tired. I am like super tired. Like I took a nap today, like an hour long nap. I was exhausted just from doing nothing. And yeah, around 4 p.m. was like, okay, I'm just gonna nap. And woke up like an hour and a half later. And yeah, I went for a ride like a couple of days ago. And actually, something weird happened is when I stopped cycling, my left Achilles started hurting really bad, like really, really bad, like hurting like it never hurt before. And yeah, I just could limp. I mean, while I was racing, my Achilles were fine, and after I stopped racing, yeah, it started hurting. I could just limp, and then I went on this bike ride like 70 miles, and since then it's been like way better.
What about your saddle sores?
I have to say that I don't have a big saddle sores troubles usually on these races.
Wow.
I'm I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's just the long hours that I spend on the saddle or just the good shorts and the good saddle, but definitely my ass. I mean, once or twice a day when I'm on these races, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I can't sit anymore. This is the end. But it's like every time when I'm on these races, I know I'm gonna reach this point once a day where I'm like, this is over. There is no way I can sit on my ass anymore. But once I reach this point, it gets better,
Hmm.
which is kind of weird. Like I just stopped worrying about it, and then I'm like, wow, I completely forgot about it. But like a couple hours ago, was pretty sure that I could not sit on my ass anymore, and here I am sitting on my ass.
That's weird.
But yeah, my ass was good. Yeah, not
Awesome.
not not
That's
much chafing, not saddle sore, so
that's
always
amazing.
fine.
So going back to the race, at what point did you know that you were tracking down Mike Hall's record, and what was that like for you being out there and touching his flag and passing it?
So when I went to Ovando, I hadn't checked the tracker a lot uh, by the time I got to Ovando. But I got to Ovando and Kathy that take the picture of the racers there told me you're ahead of the record.
Well,
And this is when I knew I was ahead of the record, but I had no idea what the margin was. And then she told me, "Well, uh, you're ahead of the record, and in 2016, Mike stopped here for like an hour and just stopped for 10 minutes. So you're gonna be even more ahead of the record." And I knew that in 2016, Mike had spent his first night indoors at high country, and I knew that he stayed like 7 or 8 hours, maybe not 8, but at least 7 hours. And I knew that he had trouble because I showed up like 24 hours after Mike at high country in 2016, and Russ, the owner, told us that it was like his first good night of sleep because he had troubles before that with the wet sleeping bag and couldn't really get any sleep outside of Lincoln. So I just knew that I was doing good. I was faster than Mike into Lincoln and no, into Ovando and out of Ovando. And I knew that he would spend the night in Lincoln, and I spent it in Helena. So yeah, that's about that time that I knew that I was ahead. And then when I got to Flag Ranch, I knew that I was like 5 hours ahead,
well,
which seemed absolutely crazy.
it was crazy, man. It is absolutely crazy. I mean, people watching at home, and I'm sure for you, I mean, it's like our minds are exploding, watching it go down. What was it like for you?
Um, I was it was weird because I knew that it was supposed to be a slow year. Um, I was not chasing the record, but then when you get 5 hours ahead of the record, it's really hard not to think about it. You
Yeah.
kind of think about it. And I knew there was a ton of snow in Colorado, so I was like, okay, you don't think of it like day by day. I was trying at first to see how the snow situation was in Montana. No, in Wyoming actually. I knew that Togodi would have a bit of snow, and I was kind of wondering if it was like a lot of snow or just a little bit of snow. And I know that Union Pass was probably going to have a bit of snow as well. So I was just trying to see how it was going day by day and try not too much to think about it. And I was definitely thinking way more about keeping Josh Cato at bay. Trying. I had to open up a gap, and what I was really worried about is Josh Cato closing the gap. But I knew it was way too soon to think about that record because of all the snow that had fallen in Colorado.
Right. So you try to keep it in perspective and not, yeah. That's got to be tough to know that you're beating the record. I mean, what I would do, and probably what you were doing, is just try to extend as much as you can because you know you're going to hit the snow, and then it's like, see what happens. I mean, that's the best you can do.
Yeah, it was kind of weird actually when I came to this Tour Divide. My goal was to win, and I was like, if I come and if I win it, I'm probably gonna be done with this race because it's just the story of the Tour Divide in me. Well, I first toured it in 2014, and after touring it, I'm like, I need to race it, and then I raced it in 2016, finished third, and I was like, okay, I need to come back because I need to win it. and then I was like ahead of Josh, ahead of the record, and I knew at that point that I would have to come back to break the record. I knew that even if I won, it wouldn't be enough. Even if I like just stayed ahead of Josh Cato and went all the way to Antelope Wells, hiked through all the snow and finished in, I don't know, 15 days or whatever. I knew that like at some point being ahead of Mike's record for me meant having to come back. And this
Yeah.
is also part of the reason why I guess I dropped out, and part of the reason why it's really not a big deal for me to drop out.
Because at some point during the race, you went from wanting to win to realizing that you had the potential ability to beat Mike Hall's record and wanted. You had a new
Exactly.
goal. You came up with a new goal at some point on the race.
Yeah, and it's just so hard. Like after what happened up the pass, when I got lost in the snow, it's just so hard to muster the energy to go back out there just to finish and maybe grab a fifth place or fourth place in I don't know how many days. When there's something that seems like so big out there that I feel like I can that is in my reach. I feel like I can grasp it, and it's just impossible to get the motivation to go back just for this, yeah, finishing again after having finishing once. It's just
Well, you toured it
the
once, finished once. You
yeah,
feel
I
like
know the
you've been there, you've done that, and now you have new goals that you want to set out on.
yeah, I know I'm gonna obsess over this. I know. I mean, right now the dust hasn't really settled, but I know that once I come back home, I'm just gonna crunch the numbers. I'm just gonna see, you know, what went wrong in the first few days, the setbacks that I had, how much time I can still shave off what I did, because I can actually shave off some time of what I did. I probably can shave off a couple hours because there's some choices that I made that were not the best. And yeah, I'm just gonna go home, crunch some numbers, go over my gear again, see if I can get some even lighter gear and be even faster and yeah, and then I'm just gonna think about it and just gonna wait for that perfect year when there's not too much snow and I can hopefully get out there and get the perfect conditions that we had in 2016 and give it another go.
Awesome.
And it's really hard because I mean obviously I'm from Europe and I have to make a decision at some point to book a ticket. And the later I book the ticket, the more
More it
expensive it's
costs.
gonna
Yeah.
be. Yeah, so I have at some point to make the decision to book a ticket and to commit to say, okay, this is the year where I'm gonna race to Vaud and trying to break that record. But there's no breaking the record if Mother Nature doesn't want you to.
No. Well, there's a lot
There's
of
not.
people that are going to be really happy to hear that you're coming back. I allowed all my patrons to ask questions. I told them that you were going to be coming on for an interview, and the number one question I got is, "Are you coming back?" So people
Oh,
definitely want to see you come back and give it another shot for sure.
yeah, definitely coming back. It's just impossible for me to leave it like this. Just
Good.
impossible.
Yeah, you put on a
It's
hell of a
like,
show, man.
yeah, and I mean, I raced Mike. I raced in 2016. I was just a rookie that year, and he was light years ahead, definitely light years ahead. And I feel like it's just so awesome that I could come back and race his flag and just see how far I've come
Yeah.
from being just this rookie and just being in and I remember that when I was out there in 2016, I was just in absolute awe of what it was doing, and I was wondering how a human could be so tough to do what he was doing and just being out there by himself all the time. In 2016, I was miserable pretty much all the time. It's a really hard race, and when you
Yeah.
do it in days, it's even harder. And a lot of times, whenever I would see another rider, I would just be so relieved to have some company because, it's just so hard to be out there by yourself, alone. And I was like, I don't know how he does it. I don't know how it's been. I mean, like he pulled away on day one and he's been by himself all this time, just alone on the trail, and just going at it every day for I don't know 18 hours or stuff like that. And I was really in admiration for this dude.
Well, you got a taste of that this year.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now
Just
I mean, you went from admiring him and being in awe of him and questioning how it's possible to seeing how it's possible. I mean, you showed yourself that it's possible. So, yeah, I mean, what does that mean to you?
it's I don't really realize it still. Um, Obviously, I'm a competitive guy. When I show up for a race, it's to win it. But it's just that Mike was such a legend. Mike was such a, it was the figure of the sport. And I mean, I feel like I'm just a regular dude,
Yeah,
just to be able to touch that flag. It feels unreal actually. And
that's what
this
I
is why I
love.
was not
Go ahead.
thinking about it too much.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say that's one thing I love about this sport is that a regular guy can just gut himself 100% and go see what you're made of, and maybe you'll touch the flag. I mean, anything is
Yeah.
possible. Anyone can do it, and I love that about this sport. I mean, you went from touring to racing to coming back and challenging the record. Now that with the knowledge that you can come back and give it another shot, and you think you can do it. I mean, that's an amazing testament to what humans are capable of. And you call yourself just a regular guy, but yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, what was funny is that on day one I was talking with some people, and obviously given the really strong lineup that we had this year, there were talks about the record, and I was like, I don't see who could beat Mark's record this year. I was like, maybe Josh Cato can do it because he's the one who came the closest
Yep.
in 2015.
He was
So,
on the
I,
he was on the lips of a lot of people as someone that could give it a shot for sure.
and I was like, maybe he could do it, but I'm not even sure because the Canada part is now slower, and that was something that I felt was a big deal. It's like even if you go really hard, you're still gonna cross the border later than Mike did because Mike didn't have to go up Coco Claims, and that makes a big difference. And it's just not that Coco Claims is going to slow you down. It's going to suck up a lot of energy as
Right.
well.
Yeah.
So it felt like, yeah, I was talking about it and was like, I don't think that now that the course has changed and that the course is slower, I don't think that record can be broken. But yeah, that was kind of funny when I think about it now.
So, knowing everything that we've talked about, let's talk about that night where you got lost and your GPSs both failed. And I mean, I read your post on Facebook. I'm sure a lot of people did, but I'd love to hear the story of that night and what actually happened and how hard it was for you. I mean, you knew that you were freaking in the lead, and you had to make that decision to pull it. So, yeah, just take us through that night,
Yeah, so I'm gonna start actually a little before that.
please do.
Spending the night in Wamsutter, uh, it had rained the night before, and going out of Wamsutter, I had to deal with a lot of mud. Actually, it was a beautiful day. The sun was shining, but the road was still muddy. And my theory about what happened is that I had to struggle with a lot of mud, but by the time Josh got here, it has started to dry out, and it was able to cover ground faster than I was. Anyway, that's my theory. I'm not saying that's what happened, but by the time I made it to Brush Mountain Lodge, it was like 6 miles away from I don't know, probably 40 miles when the last time I had checked the tracker. So I started kind of panicking actually.
Mm.
I was like, he's closing the gap. I don't know what's happening. It's probably the mud, but I need to keep moving. And so I think it was around 5 p.m. when I left Brush Mountain, and I was in this, panicky mode that I have to keep going, probably gonna have to keep going all night just to try and get some air, get that gap to be big again.
Yeah.
So it was pretty muddy outside of Brush Mountain, and we were probably Josh and I riding or actually pushing our bikes at 2 miles per hour, maybe three, not more. And it took us quite a bit of time to get to the Root National Forest when the last part of the climb actually happens and when it's not muddy anymore. And yeah, by the time I hit the snow, it was dark. It was probably 10, and I had to push the bike for a long time. The snow was really deep. The snow was okay at first, but I would say that after an hour of pushing the bike in rather shallow snow, it got really, really deep, and I started exerting a lot of energy to go through that. I was post holing, um, and I was okay finding the trail going up, and I managed to get all the way to the top. I think it was around 1 a.m. at that time, and then I lost the track. I couldn't see it anymore. Um, After being able to see it all the way to the top, I just try and follow the line on my. I have two GPS and they were working. They had battery and stuff, and I was just trying to navigate with the GPS. But I think that the file that I had was not accurate enough, and I was standing right on the line on my GPS, and all I could see was trees. I couldn't see any trail, and
Hmm.
then on my left, I could see a big, wide open space. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to somehow find the trail without the help of the GPS because the file is not accurate enough. And I started to go in one direction, and I could see that I would have to go down. So I would start to go down, and couldn't find any trail. Like after that big wide open space, I hit some trees, and I tried I think three different
Were you
directions.
traversing with your bike this whole time, or did you leave your bike and then just
I
go in
was,
search of this
yeah,
trail?
sometimes I was just smart enough to leave the bike somewhere and just walk,
Yeah.
and sometimes I was dumb enough to just walk with the bike. But yeah, what the listeners have to understand is that I was doing this in bike shoes, and the snow was sometimes waist deep. So it's not like you can go, really far to see where the trail is. At some point, you kind of in desperation mode when you've made, such little way in about 10-15 minutes, and you feel like you're not finding the trail, just having to go back and then try another way and then another way. And after probably an hour of doing this, I was like, I just can't find it, and it's getting really cold up there, and I'm exerting way too much energy trying to find it, and I'm exhausted, and my gloves were wet and my shoes were wet, and I was like, okay,
I think I
I
read that you didn't have the right gear to be in those temperatures at that altitude and all that. Is that right?
I'm pretty sure that nobody has the right gear to do that on this race.
Okay, fair enough.
Pretty sure that I'm pretty sure that everybody's wearing bike shoes, which is definitely not the kind of shoes
True.
that you want to use to walk in the snow. And I mean, I had some decent gear. I had rain pants. I had a nice rain jacket, and even my socks are supposed to be waterproof, and my gloves are supposed to be waterproof as well. So I was definitely uh, for a guy that is riding his bike, that is just riding his bike. Yeah, that's pretty much as good as it gets, because I'm definitely not a hiker. I don't have the equipment that these guys have to spend the night up a pass trying to find your way. And
That's
yeah,
what I
after an
meant.
hour of
Like your sleeping equipment, your sleeping bag, your puffy, all that stuff. Like you didn't have that type of gear to be able to spend a night up there.
no, not really actually. And I talked about this with Evan Dutch, because we have like the same sleeping bag, and it's like 45 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, you're not gonna die up there, but it's gonna be pretty uncomfortable just to be in a 45 degrees sleeping bag when it's below freezing.
Yeah.
But it's choices that you make for these races where you kind of make the choice at some point to say, okay, here's my sleeping bag. It's 45 degrees, which means that if I have to bivvy, I'm gonna need shelter, and it does make sense. And the thing is that I was not really ready to get lost up a snowy pass at 2 a.m. And this is the kind of stuff I was not prepared for.
Right.
Uh, does not mean that I was not prepared for the Tour Divide. I mean, Josh was actually smarter than I was because he camped at lower altitude. But I was just actually worried that it was going to catch me, which is why I made the decision to keep pushing. And it's definitely something that was not smart. But
So it
yeah,
seems like
I was.
if you maybe, I mean, if you could go and do it again, would you stay at Brushy Mountain, let Josh pass you, and then go back whenever? I mean, there's no way to know. I mean, hindsight's 2020. You were in a race.
It's
Josh was coming up on you, and your job as the front of the race is to go, 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 and that's what you did.
yeah,
You'd have no
yeah,
idea
yeah.
what the conditions were going to be like up there.
I would not, if I were to do it again. I would not stay at Brush Mountain because I was there. I was definitely there at 5 p.m., which is way too early to stop.
Right.
I mean, if you hit something around 8 p.m., you can think of, okay, I'm gonna stop here because I don't want to tackle that pass at night. But no, 5 p.m. is just. I should have done what Josh did actually, which would have been just camp at lower altitude, not in the snow. I mean, I probably would have been fine just camping before the snow, because what got me really cold is that the only ground where I could camp on was snow, and this is why I was shivering in my sleeping bag. Is because my sleeping bag was on an emergency blanket, and the emergency blanket was on the snow, so there was not much insulation from that snow, and this is why I got so cold. And probably if I had camped at lower altitude before the snow, somewhere under the trees, I would have been fine. But it's just tough to make the right decision when you have some guy that is chasing you that is super fast, and you just wanna get rid of him actually.
What is it
So yeah,
like
just
to?
to finish the story of what happened
Yeah,
that night.
yeah.
After knowing that I could not find the trail, I was like, okay, I got real scared. I have to say I was really scared because it started snowing. I was really cold. It was getting kind of foggy. I knew that Steamboat was pretty far. I knew that Brush Mountain was pretty far, and the road was super muddy. So I knew that I was by myself and nobody was gonna get me, and I had to survive by myself. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna. I was hoping for Josh to show up.
Mm.
So I got my sleeping bag. It was just like an hour away when I was at Brush Mountain Lodge. So maybe push through is gonna show up. We're gonna be able to navigate this, the both of us, and then we're just gonna go. So I went into my sleeping bag, kind of hoping that Josh would show up. And after a couple hours in the sleeping bag, started shivering. And I was like, okay, this is not good. I just can't stay here and shiver in my sleeping bag. It's 4 a.m., so it's gonna be like another hour before sunlight, maybe an hour and a half. So that's just too long to be this staying in the sleeping bag shivering. Hypothermia is going to set in. It's not going to be good. So this one, I decided that I had to keep moving, and the only way that I could keep moving safely was to backtrack, because keeping moving and trying to find the trail was just not safe.
Right. So what was that ride
And
back?
uh, yeah,
Good.
then the fear is actually a big factor. Like, I got so scared that I kind of give up. In my head, I was like, okay, this is going too far. This race right here is going too far. I'm not willing to die for this. And this is the time when I kind of give up, and it's just hard to come back from giving up, actually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like you made the right decision. There's lots of stories of people who put themselves in tough conditions and they don't make the right decision. It can be hard after leading the race for how many days were you leading?
8 days.
8 days. You were at mile 1500 and you were, there were so many things going well for you that it had to have been terribly hard to stop. But to be able to recognize that you're in a potentially life-threatening situation shows some intelligence on your part, I think, to be able to put all those things, all your hopes and your dreams for what this Tour de Vie was going to be, and say, no, I need to, I need to protect myself so I can come back again another year and do it. I mean, I'd rather you do that personally on a personal level. I'd rather see you do that than put yourself in a bad situation and it go a bad way. You know?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's just a bike ride. There's no point in just risking your life for it. I mean, the Tour Divide happens every year.
Yeah.
It's
It's
just a
just a
matter
bike
of
ride, but it's a big deal.
it is. It really is. But I mean,
But it's still a bike ride.
it's just survival instinct, you know?
Yeah.
Survival instinct where you're like, okay, I really want to win this, but I'm definitely not going to win it if I'm dead.
That's true.
Oh.
Was that is that the hardest or scariest point you've put yourself in a race, or was that kind of the hardest situation you've been in so far?
I would say it's close. Um, yeah, yeah, probably. I was quite in distress in 2016 on the Bannock Road when it started snowing, but I was not as scared because there was two of us,
Hmm.
which is totally different situation. I was with a Tour Divide veteran and also Iditarod and Trail Invitational veteran called Andrew Kolmatiski from Utah, and I was like, okay, this is not good. We do not have the gear to do this. It has started to snow. We're going hypothermic, but at least I'm with this guy that knows all about it. So I was not as worried as being out there by myself
Right.
uh, in the snow. And I mean, I've been in some situations, especially on long tours, because I do a lot of bike touring, and I've been in some situations where I was kind of afraid of stuff. But yeah, yeah, I still have the image of the top of that pass. I was kind of spinning, looking at all the directions that was possible, and there was definitely a point when, after trying to find the trail for like about an hour, well, I was like, okay, now this is not good. This is scary.
Yeah. I wanted to shift gears a little bit, and I'm curious if you've been following any of the social media drama that has been going on. Uh,
Yeah,
some of it
yeah.
about you, some of it about other racers on the tour. Are you interested in addressing any of those things just for fun?
Oh yeah, why not? Yeah, for
You seem like
sure.
a guy that doesn't take things too seriously, other than racing, which I can appreciate. I mean, I agree with you. It's just riding bikes. It's fun. I think people
Yeah,
take it too seriously sometimes. So let's talk about the no helmet.
yeah. Let's talk about the no helmet. A lot of people seem worried about that. I do
Yeah,
not wear a helmet. I have logged like close to 100,000 miles on Strava in the last 5 years, and none of them were with a helmet. I just don't feel unsafe when I'm riding my bike. I just don't feel like I'm gonna crash and hit my head, and I just don't feel like I need a helmet. And that's
right.
pretty much it. And what I like about that is that I do not talk to people about their helmets. I'm not like telling people that wear helmets, like, dude, why do you wear a helmet? I don't, because when I fall off my bike, I don't hit my head. So I'm pretty sure you shouldn't wear one, because if when I fall off my bike, I don't hit my head, I'm probably sure it's going to be the same for you. But like for some reason, the people that do not wear helmets, well, they just don't talk about helmets, and they don't, try and force uh, the way they ride to onto other people. But
Right,
there's people out there that wear helmets, and they're gonna be like, it feels like it's some kind of crime. Actually,
right.
it's almost criminal for you to be out there without a helmet. But I have to say that first off, yeah, it's not like I never crash. I crash sometimes, but I usually crash at low speed, and I kind of think that I know how to fall off my bike so that I don't hit my head.
Right.
And like also, most of the danger that comes from riding bikes, sadly, comes from the cars.
True.
Well, a helmet is not going to do you any good. I mean, it's really sad, but we've seen it. We've seen it that you can wear a helmet and then you're just gonna get knocked over by a car, or you're gonna ride straight into a car, and then this, yeah,
I'm curious about this one because people have been talking about it on social media, and I want to give you an opportunity to address it because I think that you're right. And also, my buddy and I were having this conversation last night, and I have I've been riding my bike since I was 4 years old. I'm 39, so that's 35 years. I have never hit my head while riding a
yeah,
bicycle, falling. Never. I do wear a helmet. I but I also acknowledge the fact that like I know I fall all the time. You know how to fall. I mean, as humans, our instinct, the first thing we do is we protect our head. We put our hands down, we cover our head, whatever it is. But on Facebook, there was a thread about you and the no helmet thing, and my comment was simple. It's his head, it's his choice. Period. If you want to wear a helmet or if you don't want to wear a helmet, it's up to you, and it shouldn't be for other people to make you feel like a criminal to not wear one. I think at least.
yeah, for sure. And I just don't understand why people are, want to force this kind of choices on you. I mean, I would like to meet these people because probably there's a good chance they haven't biked as much as I have.
Right,
Even if they're 50, there's a
right.
good chance they haven't logged the miles I have logged over the years. And it's not that I'm like completely oblivious of safety. I mean, obviously, whenever I ride, I'm like super cautious going downhill. I'm like, Fleecer Ridge, I walked it.
Uh,
Yeah, I walked it because I was like, okay, this is sketchy. I could ride it and be like 5 to 10 minutes faster, or I could walk it and be like absolutely safe. And I walked it. I'm not just some kind of crazy dude that just doesn't care about his safety. It's just that for me, I look at stuff, I look at the way stuff are, I look at the fact that I have never ever crashed and hit my head, and it seems kind of silly to protect it. So,
Well, no,
I don't like. I just don't like the way a helmet feels on my head. And I like to wear my baseball hat because I like the fact that it shades me from the sun and protects me from the rain, and it just feels weird not to wear it whenever I'm cycling. So
have you always not worn a helmet, or at some point did you? What's that?
I have never. I mean, on some races, I have been. It's mandatory on some races, so I do wear one. But when I go on long tours, I just take my baseball hat and ride on.
Right, right. Well, good. I'm. Excuse me. I'm happy to put that out there. I'm personally tired of social media internet warriors just talking shit. It doesn't do
Yeah.
any good. Whether you're wearing a helmet or not, it's your choice. You're out there riding your bike. You're doing it the way that you want to. There's no one right way to do it. Right? There's no one right way to tackle the Tour Divide, to ride your bike, to pack your bike, to wear a helmet, to not. It's all the same thing. It's your choice how you want to do that.
Seems like it's getting way out of hands. Like I grew up obviously watching the Tour de France because that's what we French people do, and actually a lot of people all over the world watch that. And I grew up watching these guys, and I remember like Marco Pantani and like this guy. Do you remember this guy with a helmet? Definitely not. Like when you think about these legends of the Tour de France, Marco Pantani, Miguel Indurain, and stuff like that, the guys that were riding when I was a kid and I was watching the race, there was like no helmet at that point. Like it happened a few years later when the Fabio Casartelli crashed and died, and then they were like, okay, we're gonna have helmets on the pro race now, but still you have people dying in pro races despite the helmet, because when you go down the hill at 50 miles per hour and you crash and you hit your head, well, man, that little piece of plastic on your head is not going to do much.
Right. Well, there are a lot of people with a lot of opinions, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to share yours because, there's a lot of people throwing around stuff, so I wanted you to be able to get your voice out there. All right, another one, a little more controversial. Um, so did you read that some people were, what's the right word? Just they were calling you arrogant for saying that you can beat Mike Hall's record, that that it's obtainable. Did you read any of that?
Absolutely not.
What do you think about
How is
that?
it arrogant?
I don't.
I don't
I'm.
see the there.
Yeah. I don't. I don't. I don't. I'm not trying to start controversy. All I want to do is give you an
Uh,
opportunity to defend that, because there's people on the internet going "Tit, tit, 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 tit," and saying, "Oh, he's cocky for thinking that he can beat Mike Hall's record." So I wanted to give you an opportunity to.
I was like 5 hours ahead of that record, even though I lost like an hour on day one due to navigation problems, and and then I lost like some more time on Brooks Lake Road, Union Pass, and also I did the route in 2016, and my calculations were that at my pace compared to my pace this year compared to my pace in 2016, I would make it to Salida with 48 hours faster. If I kept this pace, I would be in Salida 48 hours faster than my 2016 run,
Um,
which would mean that I would be on a 14-day pace. Exactly. I mean, not that I would be on a 14-day pace, but if I made it to Salida 48 hours faster than my previous run, then I would just have to go as fast as I was from Salida to the border in 2016. And I'm definitely stronger than 2016. I,
right.
I definitely had a lot of shit that I had to deal with in 2016, as far as charging my GPS, as far as navigating at night was just a headlamp that I bought in a hardware store. And as far as not knowing how to deal with lack of sleep, and also you know headwind in the reservation between Cuba and Grants. So it seems, I mean, for me, I feel like with perfect conditions, I can like shave another hour of that record, get probably to Brush Mountain 6 hours ahead of the record, and keep going. And then it's just not far fetched to think that I can get to Salida 48 hours faster than I did in 2016. And then from then, it's just a matter of shaving a couple of hours of a run that was really not that great, like in New Mexico. My New Mexico run in 2016 was, yeah, it was just barely okay. But I remember that when I was actually in Salida, so I was at the bottom of Marshall Pass. Chris Plesko finished second, was on the other side of Marshall Pass, and I was like, oh yeah, it's just there's just one pass between us. Maybe I can catch him. And like he blasted through New Mexico, and I never caught him.
Mm.
So yeah, I think if I can just get to Salida 48 hours faster, and then try and take a page out of Chris Plespo's book, and be fast to New Mexico, I don't see how it's not. Yeah, it seems definitely seems doable.
Right.
And so I talked to Bill Rice about it, because I seem to remember. Don't take my word for it, but it's definitely a possibility that in 2016, Chris Plesko was actually faster through New Mexico than Mike Hall. And I talked about it with Bill Rice, and Bill Rice told me that actually in 2016, Mike Hall was not feeling that well through New Mexico, that he was kind of sick. And like, if I can get to, yeah, Salida that fast, and then why not, be faster than Mark to New Mexico? It really doesn't seem far fetched. And I would say that if you start if you start talking about the record before the race, and before you actually touch that flag, before you actually raced 5 hours ahead of that flag, and you start talking about that record, that can be arrogance. But how is it arrogant to talk about the record when you've been 5 hours ahead of it?
Well said,
It's
man.
just, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to say, yeah, I
No.
was I was 5 hours ahead of it, but it was a fluke. I can't do it. I was just, I don't know. I had tailwind all the way to Brush Mountain, and some of these passes they shaved the top off, so that was easier for me. And no, it's just, it seems actually really weird not to talk about that record after what just happened.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad. I appreciate your perspective, and I'm glad you had a chance to talk about it because, as a person who was just sitting on the couch watching, um, a lot of people wondered about that Mike Hall record. Is it ever gonna? Is it gonna stand? I mean, records usually come down eventually, but how long is it gonna be there? And
Yeah.
when I saw you surpassing his flag, I'm like, holy shit, it's possible. And this guy is proving that it's possible. I mean, that's what it showed me. So I agree with you. I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I saw some of those comments, and I personally didn't care for him. I mean, it's disrespectful to you who was out there gutting yourself and putting yourself 100% in and putting yourself in a position where you be ahead of Mike Hall. And I'm a big Mike Hall fan. It's not, I mean, we all are. Like you said, he was the face of the sport. I mean, anyone who loves the sport knows who Mike Hall is and loves and admires him and misses him. But the fact is that you were ahead of Mike Hall's pace. I mean, that's just a fact. And so I
Yeah.
didn't care for those comments too much. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a fact. So actually, yeah, I think it's rather funny. I mean, I'd rather laugh about it than be pissed off about it.
Good.
But how is that? arrogant I really don't see. Like when you've been that and yeah, when you've been 5 hours ahead of the record, well, definitely it means that you can beat it.
Yep.
I don't see how with the same conditions. Like if I have the same conditions in my call, why would I just slow down that much that it would be impossible to beat?
Good answer. I
And
agree.
and it's something that is fairly well known also that Mike would start super fast to open up a gap and then try to hold on to it. And so I think he probably had a better first half of the race than he had a second. And so yeah, I just don't understand why people would say that.
You honestly, I don't either. But one thing I like about doing a podcast is giving people like you an opportunity to, address stupid shit that people say
Yeah.
or uninformed things. I won't say stupid. I mean, it's just uninformed, I mean, they're not out there. They don't understand the conditions.
If I may address some of the stuff that actually bothered me about what people were saying on the internet.
Please.
Some people were saying that it's not, you should not drop out of a race because you know you can't win and you know you can't beat the record. That's not the spirit of the sport.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not something that helps the sport moving forward. And I would like to address these people. I would like to tell them that they have absolutely no idea what it takes to get to the pointy end of these races, to get ahead of max time, to push yourself that far, and it takes a real toll on the body. I mean, we are destroying our bodies out there. It takes months to recover from that, and so they're talking about Lel, they're talking about me, they're talking about the fact that we drop out because our goal is out of reach. Well, first off, we do as we damn please.
Preach.
This is
Yes.
all right. So we do as we damn please. And second, you are not out there destroying your body. You are not out there with your knees that are sore, with your Achilles that are sore, with your butt that hurts every day, with just being sleep deprived for days on end and hallucinating. You are not the one that is out there doing that. And then these people want me just to go back at it for their entertainment, even though it would mean for me just to, see Breckenridge and Del Norte a third time and check out that border a third time just for the fun of it. I'm not doing it for the fun of it. I'm training my ass off and I'm spending my own money that I work to earn. I'm spending it to come here, be competitive. I have a goal. Well, if it's out of reach, I'm just not gonna keep going. I don't care what you think about what the spirit of bike packing is. It's not you that decide what the spirit is. I mean,
Yeah.
what about you talking about some people talk about moving the sport forward? Isn't like trying to break the record and trying to win helping the sport moving forward? Isn't it like what it's all about?
It's one of the
Having
ways.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the ways. And you can't ask people just to keep going for the fun of it and keep destroying their bodies and spending silly amounts of money. Like, have these people ever resupplied at the gas station, spent $50 on junk food, and then stayed in a shithole in Wamsutter for $120?
Right.
And I'm supposed to keep doing it for their enjoyment, or because some sort of bike packing spirit is that whatever happens you should always finish. I'm already a finisher. I'm already a podium finisher. I'm out there to win it, and I'm out there to break the record. And if I can't do that, it's just they can't imagine actually what the kind of motivation that you need to push yourself for days.
Right.
Just wake up bivvying, it's below freezing. You got to get out of your sleeping bag at 3 in the morning, and you got to keep riding.
Right.
Not even being close to do this stuff once, and then they're like, yeah, you should keep going, dude. It's not because you, you can't break the record or you can't win that you should stop. Well, I've been there before. I've finished races after setbacks, and it's just not enjoyable. It's just not fun. When your goal is out of reach and you're out there, it's still hard actually. Even if you're just pushing yourself 80%, it's actually mentally harder because you're doing it, it seems pointless to do it because you're doing it for some goal that you hadn't set, and the goal that you had set is not reachable, and it's just it's destroying you mentally. Actually, you're not having fun, you're not enjoying yourself, you have nothing but regrets, and it leaves you with nothing, just bad memories of that ride.
Right.
And I don't want that. I don't want to have the bad memories of the second half of 2019. I just want the good memories of the first half of 2019, and I want, that good, really good run that left me with the idea of breaking that record. And I think that the people of the internet really should mind their own business, really should watch the dots, look at the amazing stuff that the writers out there do, and then when they drop out, they should try and get some perspective and try and realize that it's just everybody has his own goal going in this race, and and once this goal is gone, well, you do what you want. You do what you want. There's gonna be other dots moving. The rest is gonna keep going without you, and yeah,
Man, I
then
I
I have other stuff
I
that I need to
wonder,
do.
like, for people like just watching dots, they're just watching dots on an internet, and this what we're doing right now is going to help people make a connection to the human side of what's actually happening when they're watching dots, because I don't think they're criticizing you. They're just criticizing a dot that they're watching on a screen.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And it's
yeah. I
not
don't. I mean,
fair, but I think that's what people
yeah.
do.
The problem is that they just see the dots moving. They just see the cool pictures where we're all smiles,
Right.
and it's somewhat easy. But this stuff is fucking hard, man.
Preach.
This 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 is a lot of pain. This is really a lot of pain that we go through to do this stuff in 14, 15, 16 days. This is a lot of hours where we cold, a lot of hours where we're actually wet, and sometimes we're warm, and we have all sorts of pains in our bodies, whether it's the knees, the feet, the Achilles, just the butt. It's just, at some point, if you can't reach your goal, why would you go through that? Why would you go through all the pain? And I think they don't realize that for sure it's something that we love doing. For sure it's something that is absolutely rewarding, but it's also a lot of pain. And when the reward goes away, there's only the pain left. And what's the point? What's the
Hmm.
point of just having the pain?
Man, that's well said. I think you should just leave it right there. I don't think you can say any better than that. I mean, it's like once the goal is gone, all that's left is the pain.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Um,
glad to address that actually.
I'm glad you did too, man. I get super tired of all the keyboard heroes that are out there just talking shit, and it's bullshit. Like, you're out there giving it your best, and you're out there for your own reasons, and you're doing it your way, and it's none of our business how you choose to race your race. It isn't. You know,
Yeah.
you get the opportunity to decide how you're going to race your race and what's important to you, and it doesn't matter what we think. So I'm glad you got a chance to address and kind of talk about from your perspective, because I think it's worth talking about.
Yeah, it is. It is, and if it can help people, gain some perspective on what's happening and refrain from posting stupid stuff, that's good.
Yeah. All right, dude. So what is next for you?
So, I came to North America to ride my bike. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm just glad that I get to spend some time at the ranch with Kirsten at the Brush Mountain Lodge, and I'm definitely recovering here. Once I'm ready to leave, which is really hard because it's such an awesome place. Once I'm ready to leave, I'm just gonna go touring. I really like to check Utah. I have a friend in Salt Lake City, so I'm probably gonna visit and then just go down south and check out Utah and Arizona. From there, I'm not really sure. The Baja Divide could be an option, but yeah, that would be a big detour. But yeah, why not? Or just give me a sec, please. Give me a sec.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that, man. Food is ready. I'm gonna have to leave soon.
Nice. Is Billy Rice
The
there?
burgers are waiting. Sorry?
Is Billy Rice still there?
Speed Rise actually left during the Great Armistice of Rush Mountain Lodge. No, that was just Kirsten. But the
Okay.
burgers are ready, and I should come out before they're cold. So we're gonna have to wrap this up.
Yeah, let's wrap
So
it
yeah,
up.
basically just gonna go touring Utah, Arizona, Mexico. Not really sure about the route yet, and not really sure how far south I'm gonna go. I don't really have stuff that I need to do at home, and I haven't been on a big tour in 18 months, so I might just turn this into a really big tour, and maybe when I do that, the people that are upset that I quit the race will be like, okay, this guy is legit, is still riding his bike.
Dude, you're
But
legit. Fuck what they say,
that,
man.
that's the
Just be
reason
you.
why. Yeah, not that is the reason why I do it. I would never do anything for anyone else or for the way that people would voice their opinion about what
Yeah,
I do. But yeah, it's just always nice when you can shut people up
for sure.
because of this. But
Well, dude,
yeah,
I'm go ahead.
just riding. Feel like riding my bike. This is what I feel like doing, and this is what I'm gonna do.
That's what I say on my show all the time. Just ride your damn bike. Any way you want, any way you like, just ride your damn bike. That's all it is, man.
Yeah, it is.
Thanks for talking to me, man. It's a real honor. I truly enjoyed watching your dot and rooting for you, and I was trying to stay up late because I knew you were staying up late just to watch your dot and all that. It was a great tour divide. It's still going on. There's a lot of great people out there still doing it. You were definitely a big
Yeah.
part of it this year. So yeah, thanks for fucking gutting yourself, man. That's what it all is. Like you put yourself through pain and suffering so that I could watch your dot and be like, yay.
My pleasure, man. So if I can say one thing before we wrap this up
Yeah.
is uh, shout out to Josh Cato in the Del Norte Hospital right now. I hope he recovers really well, and thank you for helping me, push this thing even harder. And classy guy, classy rider, legend of the sport. And I hope like he recovers soon and he gets well soon.
Well said, man. Are there any sponsors that you want to give a shout out to?
I'd like to give a shout out to Apertura, who gives me my bags, but that's pretty much the only sponsor I have. But despite what some people think, I
Yeah.
do not get any money from this. I'm not a pro. I just work as a regular dude, and then I have to buy my ticket, and I have to buy my bike and my gear, and I have to spend a lot of money for this stuff. So yeah, that's also one thing that I thought was kind of silly, like people saying, "Oh, these sponsor riders." It's the race is not how it used to be when it was just regular people. You know what? Actually, we're just regular people. We have jobs. We spend our own money to get there. We buy our bikes, and it's pretty darn expensive, but we still do it. So yeah, if we could get a little respect for that, that would be nice.
Hey, man, you did it, and I mean, like you did it. You didn't have someone paying your way and doing all those things. You did it. So
Exactly.
bravo to you. Thanks for everything. Go eat your fucking burger. You deserved it.
And thanks, Patrick. I'm so hungry. And thanks for the interview on the podcast. I'm looking forward to listening to it.
All right, bud. Y'all have a good one. Tell you what, Sofiane, he interviews like he races. That was really good and super entertaining. I hope you enjoyed it. All right. Don't forget, Alexandra's episode is coming out next week. If you want to keep up with me, you can find me everywhere at Bikes or Death. Now go ride your damn bike.